How's it going, guys? And welcome to TheBlueShifting, and welcome to Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York. I had to look because it's a long title. So if you're an old hat, welcome back to the channel again. It's great to have you here. If you're new and exploring this for the first time because you're like, what on earth is this game? Welcome to the channel. Hope you enjoy. I'll do a brief introduction. I'm TheBlueShifting. I do visual novel content. Well, mostly it's good story content, but I found visual novels are some of the best mediums for storytelling I've ever come across. What does that mean? It means it focuses a lot more on sound quality and story, like dialogue, characters, rather than focusing so much on visuals and audio and like cinematics. You may see some, it depends on the game. I have no clue what to expect from this one, but because things are a bit more static, they tends to be longer and more like story rich. So it really is the kind of a union between an actual like novel and a movie, kind of fusing in this really unique way that's really, really fun. So if you've never come across this, there's tons of stuff on my channel. If you like the series but it's taking too long, there's some great series you can look in the backlog. And if you like something along the lines of this, I'd highly recommend something like The House of Fata Morgana. I actually just finished it. It was a fantastic series, a lot on the darker side of things, but fantastically done, and just a lot of good stuff to go around. And then also, forgive this, because this is quarantine face, quarantine lack of shaving, quarantine hair, which is driving me crazy. But you know, it's what can you do, right? We're here to share a good story and to enjoy ourselves. So let's jump into this. Okay, and then I guess let's talk about the background of the game real fast, because we want to make sure we cover this properly. Vampire the Masquerade is a very in-depth world that I don't even truly understand, but I know the basics, and the most important things about it are the genre. This is modern fantasy. What does that mean? It means that this is telling the story of a world of fantasy that exists parallel to ours. The idea that there's a secret underground of magic and mystery and vice and danger that we aren't aware of as typical people, but still functions there. It's part of what explains the various things in the world that just don't have an explanation, or at least not an adequate one. And sometimes it can almost feel compelling, like could this actually exist? Is it existing? My favorite series of books that talks about it is the Dresden Files. So if you're a fan of the Dresden Files, you'll probably be a fan of something like this. Granted, I haven't been too much involved with Masquerade. I know it exists, and it's something I've wanted to try, but I've never had the chance to do a tabletop or a LARP group with it at all. The only thing I've really had before this was playing Bloodlines, the computer game, which is really, really captivating when I first played it, like long time ago. And the very exciting second Bloodlines is coming out soon. I'm totally going to play that. And so I think it's not a mistake or coincidence that this has come out around the same time. They should share a lot of similar lore, but also be unique and different at the same time. Of course, this is taking place in New York, so it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out. I've heard that there's a lot of management to this game. It's not just telling a narrative story. There's choices I get to make, characters I get to try and interact with, and time limits, from what I understand. Like, there's going to be a multitude of quests, like side quests we can do along the story, and we won't have time for all of them, so we need to prioritize the ones that we think are the most important. So it's going to be interesting to try out. But yeah, without further ado, I think we should just jump right in. I'd love to know if you happen to be a fan of the Masquerade series. Like, please help me fill in gaps for things I don't know. I'm going to know surface level stuff because I haven't had a chance to interact with this stuff very much. And there's so many other things to do. It's definitely not something I've put my time to. So if you're a mega fan of any kind, please, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this is new for you as well, just what do you think? First of all, the art style looks very interesting, and I'm curious to see how this all plays out. So let's jump right into it, shall we? Oh, okay. Guess we get 3 saves. Ooh, interesting. So we choose a clan. So like right off the bat, we already know we can have 3 hopefully very different play styles. I didn't know this. This is all new to me. So the Bruja, the rabble rebel against the power and rage against authority. A seemingly insignificant man with significant ideas will join their ranks tonight. Okay. The Venture. Ooh, I think I've heard this one before. The aristocrat blue bloods embody wealth, sovereignty, and control. A top-level corporate executive will join their ranks tonight. Or there's the Toreador. The diva seeking thrills of art, romance, and cruelty amidst stagnant undeath. A tormented artist will join their ranks tonight. So like obviously we could take things very differently in different ways, but so like we got like kind of like what seems like the rabble rousing anarchists. It even has like a symbol looks like an anarchy symbol. An upside down one to be at that. Then the Toreador seem like they're very much about the carnal pleasures of the world, which in some ways I can kind of understand and kind of emulate, but at the same time, it just seems kind of, I don't know. I like aristocratic idea. I like the idea of having machinations and plots and subplots and, you know, like talking in like in creative ways that like send specific messages without being overt. You know, they can't actually say you threaten them, but they know you're threatening them kind of idea. I like the idea of politicking and like being involved in that. So I think I'm gonna go down the venture path. It sounds a little posh for me. Toreador would be my second choice and a very close one, but I don't know. It just seems like it's just a bunch of I don't know. I feel like they'd be boring to be around. Like Toreadors sound they might be kind of predictable. The ventures sound like it'd be very exciting. Although it's interesting, corporate executive doesn't match me so much. But again, like it's like talking about like the person who's joining us, I think is us. So like insignificant person with significant ideas, corporate executive, or an artist. I don't know. All the it's so tough. Fine, we're gonna do Toreador. Don't think too much into it. I'm just gonna play the Toreador. Like I said, it was about between the two, and I'm definitely interested in playing the venture, but we're gonna try Toreador. Alright, Lamar, interesting name, but of course we have to go with the classic. It is time for the return of Protag, because he's our host and our main man or woman. Actually, I do have a name for a female character if I choose to do that, but for this one we're gonna stick with Protag. So let's see how it plays out. New York taught me to believe in fate. Interesting, so there's like, I don't know what those buttons do, we'll find that out. Had you asked me about the fate when I was a human, I would have told you that just superstitious bullcrap. That we are all designers of our own destinies. I'm gonna try some buttons real quick. Okay. I don't know if I can do, like, full screening of just a picture, but we'll see. Anyway. That belief shattered when the richest woman in the United States, the actual richest one, not a face you could have seen in the papers, of course, sank her teeth deep into my neck. It happened in the very same place you're standing in right now, by the way. Fate? You decide. Please, there's absolutely no need to be hostile. Just listen a little longer. See, my mistake was that I flew too close to the sun. It makes sense that my punishment was to never see it glow again. I was incandescent myself. I was hot crap. I had it all. Money, looks, confidence, connections, men, women, career, and a spark in my eye. The one you need to be born with. And that's when someone far more powerful than me saw my radiance and thought, that won't do. She robbed me of the light erupting from within and gave me a subtle, enduring gleam in its place. She decided that would fit me much better. She was a 9th generation kindred, just like you, an apex predator. She probably enjoyed teaching me the peak of human excellence, my real place in the food chain. It's such an eyesore when you look at the loudmouth blackguard, and some of them are, for all they really are, the temptation to teach them a lesson can be unbearable, right? Well, my sire's lesson was a lesson about fate, a message saying, you're eternally doomed to be at the mercy of your sovereigns. It almost drove me to destroy myself. What saved me was the ability to reinterpret her teachings. Hers wasn't a message of doom, it was a message of hope. Fate existed, and one can shape it if given the right tools. My sires didn't know my tools were fitting for the job. She considered them toys, and me just her amusing subject. Well, she's deader than dead now, and I am still here, standing right where she stood when we first met. You might have wondered how I learned about your arrival to JFK Airport. My answer is, of course, destiny. As luck would have it, today happened to be a day of my associates were inspecting the coffins. Dragging you here straight from the plane and having you wake up in such an unfamiliar place was a little desperate, and I do apologize for it. But it's also rare for you to visit New York. 3 times in the last 15 years, was it? and you're never eager to inform me you're here. I understand you still have that meeting on 53rd Street later tonight, so I'll provide a comfortable transport. I value our relationship very much, don't get me wrong. But it is precisely because I value it that I'm going to ask you to repay the favor you owe me. You're the only one I trust to do the job well and without attracting attention. You might think I'm crazy, asking you to breach the rules of our society like this. You might think it's impossible to get away with it unpunished. Yeah, that's the thing you don't do. You absolutely do not break the laws, because then even the creatures in the dark will come gunning for you. But this is New York, and I don't know about other cities, but in this one, fate rarely exists. And right now, it's smiling in your favor. This is how it begins. You stifle a yawn. Interesting statue there. It's been a slow evening. A little bit of red liquid left in your glass. The crumbs on the plate remind you that, if nothing else, these art exhibits are at least come with some decent wine and legit catering. And yeah, it's fun to talk about your work on display, and if you end up discussing it with pretty much the same people at each such occasion. You've already met the one critic who keeps telling you, with self-assured authority, how you should pursue a different artistic avenue. Then there's the obligatory doe-eyed art student who's oh so impressed with your technique. To be fair, you're not at all happy with your latest piece, but hey, it's not the worst thing you've seen tonight. That ignoble, dubious honor belongs to one of the other paintings on display. And yet, its author, currently being paraded around by his rich parents, has barely been able to get a bite of the fancy canapes? So many sophisticates to meet, so little time. For a moment, you think that maybe it's not worth it. Maybe you should take the critic's advice, cut your losses, sell out to some corporation, and get it over with. And as if the universe wanted to validate your train of thought, that's the exact moment your sister Emma decides to pop up in your view. So, let me get this straight. Cushy corporate jobs are selling out, but supporting a billionaire's vanity project is totally fine with you? Hi, you absolutely despise her as an artist. While you're struggling to uphold some nebulous idea of what art is meant to be, she's perfecting her way of mooching off the system. Shamelessly preying on little-known street art and niche internet memes, she repackages them as bourge-friendly collages. Fetch, I can't read French words. This was a terrible choice for me. So perhaps no wonder that the New York Times has recently dubbed her a mind-blowing explorer of digital art's extreme possibilities. But in spite of all that, you absolutely love her as a person, even as you welcome her by smacking the back of her head, a gesture meant to convey nothing but the deepest of affection, because, you know, physical strikes are always known for showing affection. No, but seriously, supporting young artists? My butt. I don't know what kind of money you got for this piece, but I doubt it was even a fraction of what it's going to be worth in tax benefits. The gallery owner actually said that if he had to choose his most valuable audience, it would be the IRS, and I'm pretty sure he was only half kidding. You mumble a non-answer, then segue into a different subject, trying to preemptively quell her repeated offers to get you a steady job. Of course, she proves as insistent as ever. You know, sometimes I just don't get you. On the one hand, you wouldn't be caught dead taking money from an inevitable winner of the culture wars. On the other, if someone gave you the chance to collaborate on some dummy Oscar bait, flick sponsored by Larry Ellison's bailout fund, you'd do that crap for free. She rolls her eyes and asks, you know what the only difference is between the art scene and the cultural industry? The culture industry actually pays your bills. As expected of someone who's given up on attempts to infuse her work with any sort of endearing quality and decided to just keep reposting the zeitgeist. She claims to happily accept the fact that after she dies, both she and her work will end up in a landfill. When you respond that you prefer chasing a 1 in a million chance to immortalize yourself, she claims it reeks of an overinflated ego. I don't know. I actually kind of sympathize with this. Again, my background's a lot more in the sciences. Like, I am a student of physics. I'm actually going back to school to finish my degree. I took time off for my family, just FYI. But now I'm going to be having the opportunity to go back. And initially, my goal was to get a PhD and, like, kind of like him, chase that 1 in a million chance to immortalize myself by discovering something. And while that can sound like overflated ego, and maybe that is part of it, for me, it was more about leaving an impression. like knowing that like when I go, that something I left behind would be affecting and changing the world. There would be people who could look at my work and be like, he did something to contribute. Like, he made the world a better place for his being in it. That's really what I've always wanted, and I hope I can still achieve that. Although I've decided that I'm not going to pursue the PhD in the research side, because I rather want to focus on family and people. So I'm actually going to be taking the teaching the direction, where I can definitely have an impact, but I'll never be known for it. I think that's okay. But I have to admit that I can emulate with him in this regard. And then I also feel like I can call myself a creator because I do love writing, and I hope to publish something of my own someday. I have a couple projects I'm actually working on right now, so hopefully that'll actually become a reality, but we'll have to find out. But you've been down this road too many times before and managed to accept she'll never understand what's truly important to you. Slowly but surely, you move on to more agreeable topics. Your plans to finally get hammered together, or the most recent crop of garbage Netflix shows you and your friends have tricked you into trying out. Yeah, good amount of garbage ones. But there's some that I still haven't watched. Stranger Things. I still haven't watched that. I need to watch that. Alright, gotta go. I've got a date. So he peeks at a bunch of middle-aged men in expensive suits who have stopped pretending to care about the exhibit and are exchanging the worst lurcherous jokes they've got of their stale repertoire. Have fun with your friends, class traitor. She gives you a hug and heads for a nearby elevator. There goes the pleasant part of the evening. Still, you decide to delay the inevitable and catch a quick smoke break. Smoking. Truth be told, people aren't exactly lining up to chat about your work anyway. As you leave your post, you start tapping your pockets in search of a lighter. Instead, you find a $100 bill you're absolutely sure wasn't there before. Holy crap, Em, you're the worst. And the best. You can feel your cheeks turn red, but you gratefully put the money in your wallet and move outside. Ooh, wow. I like this. It's like kinetic art. Like, that's really cool. I don't know if I've seen this too often. And this is a really high quality one. Fetch. Okay, I need to like... Okay, so this is like a journal. And this is text, I'm guessing, or the dictionary, whatever that means. Okay. That's the get out there. But alright, that should be fine. Anyway, I was just checking some of the buttons. Let's continue on. When you reach the balcony, look out over the New York City in the light of the second last cigarette left in the pack. You're alone. It's not silent. The metropolitan hum is ever present, and even this high up, but it's a good deal more intimate than what's behind your back. You lean over the railing and look down. The streetlights beckon more than usual. In your mind's eye, you see yourself as the final artwork, beautifully splattered all over the pavement. Oh, come on, man. That's not a place to be thinking. The working title, Delusions of Grandeur. The author, a brilliant artistic soul crushed by unfeeling reality gone too soon. You chuckle and flicker the cigarette into the air. Fashioned up by the night's cool breeze, you squeeze back into the stuffy interior. You're barely making a few steps before lethargy steps back in, and it's like you never left. Still, something in the room feels different. Your eyes are drawn to a handsome young man, neatly dressed and groomed, exuding an air of a true artiste. And the best part? He's intently looking at your painting. The gallery is almost like an art installation itself now. People standing in silent awe. The guy like a beacon drawing everybody's attention. Hushed conversations about the guest can be heard from every corner of the galley. Your heart is pounding with excitement as you approach, feeling like a kid trying to get close to a deer in the woods, but afraid you'll scare it away. Yeah, there's something really cool about having something you made being closely examined and seemingly appreciated, but you're terrified because there's, like, despite the fact you know and you have to get used to the idea that people are not going to like your work, there is something about hearing people to your face tell you they hate it that just sucks. The man turns to you and you stop in your tracks, entranced. So, this is one of your pieces. You manage to mumble an affirmation. Tell me about it, please. As you start discussing your inspiration, technique, and process, the man's eyes lock into the painting again. He keeps interjecting, making knowing remarks. This guy gets it. He really gets it. The world around you disappears. You'll say anything, do anything to keep his attention on you, but you realize you don't need to. He's into your art. He's into you. I want to buy it. And I want your company. I need to talk to you. You will like what I have to say. Yes, sir. Spoken matter-of-factly. Served straight up. Like he knows that you won't refuse. Like you can't refuse. An hour later, you find yourself in his apartment. One of the many, you presume. With your self-esteem all but patched up and your head still full of vintage. Fine vintage. You tell your host a lot. In fact, it seems like you're telling him everything. Where you came from, how you ended up in New York City, how you had to take out a loan to appear at tonight's event. Dang, that sucks. How you took the long look down at the balcony, that you thought about taking the plunge, and this time you were only half joking. You feel miserable. You start crying. He holds you in his arms and you feel calmer. The tears stop flowing. Guess I'm just gonna be a dude swinging for dudes. It's been so long since you last had someone you could not just talk to, but can communicate with, be seen by. Who knows? Maybe there is hope for you yet. That feeling of bliss is the last thing you remember before passing out. Next thing you know, you're lying on the couch in the same apartment, hungry and dehydrated. How long has it been? Hours? Days? More? You're feeling weak, confused, abandoned. You look around in a panic. Is he still here? Oh, thank goodness, yes. There he is, standing in the doorway. His voice breaks the silence and fills you with hope until you realize what he's saying. I am so sorry. I hope that maybe one night you will forgive me. Always remember that in our parting moment I wished you well. You try to speak, ask him to stay, but no voice leaves your parched throat. You taste something on your lips. Wiping your mouth leaves a crimson stain on your hand. It's not the wine. What the fetch? The door of the apartment closes behind him. Alone. Again. The pain hits. It's a headache, a lurching in your stomach, a burning in your arms and legs. It's all you can focus on. A panic takes you. You fall from the sofa and hit the wine glass. It flies off the wall, shattering into bits. A mumble from the corner of the room indicates that you're not as alone as you thought. From where you're lying, you see a feminine shape stirring awake. You crawl towards the woman inch by inch. The pain turns into an urge. You need to get close to her. You begin to see details. The long hair shrouding her face, the worn-out New York City hoodie thrown over her skimpy dress. She opens her eyes, moves her locks to the side, exposing her neck. A rabid instinct takes you. In the blink of an eye, you find yourself buried in her hair, smelling her sweat mixed with just a hint of cheap perfume. You bite down and drink the blood from her vein. Wait. What is happening? You break away. You look at the girl. She lets out a sigh, goes limp and unconscious again. You try to crawl back, her dress rolled up to the side, and you glance at her naked thigh. And you lose control again. Bite her leg. Drink deep from the artery. It's intoxicating. It's bliss like you've never known before. It's beautiful. You break away again, fall to your back. What the heck was that? Did you really drink her blood? She's not moving. Oh, no. Oh, she's not moving. Oh, that's not good. You check her pulse. She's cold to the touch. Nothing. No heartbeat, no sign of breathing. That's when it hits you. Your chest isn't moving either. Your heart's not beating. You're cold to the touch. You reach for your phone and it's not there. Where did you leave it? Or maybe he took it? Impossible to say. You stumble around the apartment but find nothing you can use to call to help. You need to get out of here, now. You look outside the window. You're high above the streets. There's no balcony, and the building's exterior is glass almost all the way down. You'd never survive the jump. But maybe that's precisely why you should leave the room this way. You've just killed somebody. Your life is essentially over. A sickening void is opening in your stomach, warning you that your reality is about to turn into an unbearable hell. A voice in the back of your head tells you that the smartest course of action is to take the leap before it does. And the more you argue with it, the more reasonable it sounds. This escalated quickly, might I add. You're just about ready to pick up one of the chairs and try to break the window when you hear the clicking of keys in the lock. You freeze in place. This is bad. Your thoughts start racing desperately, but instead of a rational course of action, only visions of false hope come to your mind. What if it's him? What if he's had a change of heart? What if he sent someone for me? You almost feel your heart beat again with excitement as the door opens. Almost, but not quite. A man enters, but not the one you expected. He's tall, broad-shouldered, handsome, with darkish skin. His suit is stylish and immaculate. You've never seen him in your life, but you immediately see past the sharp looks and see a sharper nature. He's a predator, and if you're not careful, you might become his prey. Good evening. I'm here to pick you up. A deep, emotionless voice. He turns his eyes to the lifeless body of the girl in the New York City hoodie and raises an eyebrow. This isn't what it looks like. This isn't what it looks like. Please, you have to help me. That's what I'm here for, after a fashion. He approaches the bed to examine the corpse from up close. Well, this is unfortunate, but preferable to going insane from hunger. Quite a nice gesture, actually, if troublesome. He briefly looks at you with something like pity in his eyes, then changes his expression to a perfectly blank one. Listen, you may perceive your current situation as something out of ordinary, but I've met hundreds of lost sheep like you, and you see, they tend to fall into two categories. First, there were the smart ones. Those who carefully obeyed my every word and didn't pull off any stupid stunts. They always got what they needed to go safe and sound. Then there were the dumb ones. The punks who thought they could take me on. The wise guys who tried to contact somebody secretly and without permission. The troublemakers who tried to run off for making a scene. God, doesn't sound like grooming at all, does it? Not at all. None of them got to their destination in one piece. In fact, a lot of them never reached their destination at all. The man talks in a bored, professional tone, giving off an impression that he really has delivered the speech countless times by now. So you see, despite being a smart person, I'm a Mets fan. I love baseball, and he inspired me to come up with a 3-strike system to determine if someone is dumb. If you get on my nerves 1 or 2 times, well, I understand. Not all of us perform well in stressful circumstances. But if you do it 3 times, understand that there will be no excuse, no forgiveness, no mercy. His presence changes ever so slightly. Say, I understand, sir, now. You feel an overwhelming, barely resistible urge to fulfill his demand. I don't know. I think we should just go with it, because at this point we don't have anything else going for us except for the fact that he's saying it sound like there is a way out, even though that's the whole point. So I understand, sir. Excellent. Alright, have you got anyone you'd like to inform about your current situation? Tell them that you're alright. He flashes his fangs briefly as he talks, and for some reason the sight causes a chill to run down your spine. Something's wrong with him. Someone close to you. This is where I think it would be... No, I don't think I want to run away, but I think I'll lie. His name's Yurato. He's my boyfriend. He lives in Queens. He's a barista, and the stranger's been watching you with his wary eyes since the moment he started talking, but only interrupts you at the first moment of visible hesitation. You're 100 years too young to try and fool me, whelp. Even if your tail's up tails, first strike, try again. Your first instinct is to protest, but you realize that your thoughts are still too scrambled and panicked to come up with anything coherent. You give up all planned attempts to provide poor Eldorado with convincing psychological depth. Emma, my sister. She's probably having a night out in Brooklyn with her artsy friends. Can I call her now? You take out your phone. You take out your phone while asking the question. It was in your pocket all along. Must have been panic talking before. He shakes his head and points at the hooded corpse next to him. If you want to implicate her, go ahead. I think we'd all be better off if you let me make sure that she only knows what she needs to know. Yeah. Agreed. Give me her phone number. I'll have someone get in touch with her. You oblige and hand him the smartphone so that he can copy the number from your list of contacts. Thank you. This will be useful in illustrating my next point. Instead of giving you back the phone, the man hides it in his pocket. From this night onwards, you are subject to different laws than the ones you grew up with, and you'll be watched by many eyes to make sure these laws are respected. You are forbidden from letting anyone know you're still alive. You are forbidden from showing your face anywhere they know you. If anyone comes to search for you, it's over, both for you and them. He interrupts his monotone resuscitation to stare deep into your eyes. So, if you don't want someone to find your poor sister's body in the Hudson River next week, cooperate. The sight of his fangs again, another physical fight or flight response. You played right into his hands, putting Emma in danger. Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. I can only hope that you care for her enough not to do anything selfish. By now you're absolutely sure he's just toying with you, provoking you just to feed on your reactions. He hasn't told you where you're going yet, but he's already made it abundantly clear that a lot of people struggled hard to avoid getting there. You'd be far more eager to cooperate if you never raised the subject, but he made it a point to make you fear the unknown. He's pushing you, but to what end? Does he want to intimidate you into complete submission? Is he hoping you'd give him an excuse to get rid of you? Or maybe he's testing you, forcing you to show what you're made of. Somehow he makes all these options seem possible at once. Alright, I think that's enough lectures for today. He takes a glance at his silver watch. It's a Patek Philippe, the kind of brand mere mortals never see outside of luxury lifestyle magazines. Just who are you dealing with here? It's past 3 a.m. now. The sun will come up in just a few hours, so we don't have much time. Come, we need to leave so that the corpse can be taken care of. He turns his back to you and unlocks the door. We aren't waiting for the police, because we literally killed her. What would be the point? Why would we attack him? He's made it pretty clear. Like, that would be a bad move. We need more information before we do anything like that. So we're gonna head out. Okay. I know it feels like I'm being so passive, but frankly, the other choices just aren't great right now. You obediently follow him out of the room. Before he locks it again, you manage to take a final glimpse of the corpse. You feel a pang of conscience, but not because of your victim's horrible fate. It's because you don't really feel guilty, even though you know you should. Something important inside of you that was still there yesterday has definitely died tonight. You wonder if you'd ever even recognize yourself in a mirror. The stranger shows you to the elevator. You go to the ground floor. During the awkward ride, you daze in confusion, in a confused mind, desperately searching for a glimmer of hope, and eventually comes across one. Maybe you'll find the man you met earlier this night. What did that man do to me? What did that man do to me? Why did that man target me? What was their motive? That's what I'd like to know. As of yet, he is unidentified. They have left no trace, and it's obvious they are not planning to come back for you. If, and that is a big if, you ever see them again, it will be tomorrow, and probably for the last time. Wait, for the last time? What do you mean, for the last time? His face is inscrutable. I said what I said. All I can add for now is, tomorrow is a big night for you. The elevator door opens in an empty hall. You walk outside past the night guard's post, which is empty. The cold night air reminds you of the balcony just a few hours ago. The man motions to the black Cadillac Escalade. Take a seat in the back, please. You get inside. Oh, the art is so good. The man closes the car door behind you. You hear a click as it locks. The Cadillac is almost entirely dark. The same window seems light-proof. The side window seems light-proof. The man gets into the driver's seat, starts the engine, and drives away without comment. I think I just feel horrible. I feel horrible. As you should. He gives you a little side glance at the rearview mirror and bites his lip. Forgive me, I'm not in a talkative mood. This won't be a long drive. Patience. Dead silence fills the car. You close your eyelids and sink back into your thoughts. A blurry afterimage of the man who bought your painting is still there. It's strange. You never felt this way about anyone. It makes you happy, even though you have the nagging thought that there's something fundamentally abusive about this attraction. But then the girl's hair, spilled over her purple hoodie, and her blood spilled over the cold floor, come into sharp focus. You wince. You even want to cry, but it's as if there's no more tears left in you. After what feels like an eternity, the car comes to a stop. You get out of an underground parking lot. It's an ugly concrete gray thing, empty before the car you came in. Looks like there's a room beyond the metal door in the wall. Guess you'll live to see another night. Follow me. He opens the metal door and lets you inside. Here we are. These are your lodgings for tonight. If you get hungry again, take a look in the fridge. Tomorrow I will come pick you up. The cramped room has no windows, just a simple bed, a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling, a small humming fridge, and a rattling AC fan on the wall. It had all the coziness of a solitary prison cell. You notice claw marks on the inner side of the entrance door. I'm not going in there. I am not going in there. Actually, yes, you are. Listen, normally I'd lose my nerve right now, but things would get nasty. But I get it. You're scared, you don't understand what's happened. Trust me, you will learn more tomorrow, but now I need you to rest, and you need your rest. He gestures inside the room. Finding no more willpower to resist, you step inside. The stranger nods contently. Good night. He locks the door behind you. Looks very secure and sturdy. You open the fridge. There's a single plastic bag there, filled with red liquid, unlabeled. Tomato soup? Come on, you idiot. You feel sick to your stomach. Best leave it for now. You lie down on the bed. It's a simple mattress on a metal frame, kind of grimy and damp. Ugh. Seeing it makes you grimace, but you're just too tired not to lie down. Your entire body hurts. The dull feeling that makes you feel heavy. You feel vulnerable and lonely. Usually when that happens, you take your attention to painting, just not thinking about the alternative. Your family upbringing left you with no skills but artistic talent. Creating art used to be something that was an unpleasant duty. Somewhere along the line, though, it became the one weapon you had to fight with existential despair. Some of your best work was created in lieu of impotently crying in bed. Heck, you're pretty sure that a few of those pieces had your tears mixed in with the paint, like the painting that led your whole night to this. You look back at your life and start to look like a downward spiral. You're so tired, your entire body tenses up, and before you know it, you drift away into oblivion. To the sound of a freaking gong, you wake up. That in itself is a surprise. You barely remember when you drifted off. It didn't quite feel like sleep, more like plummeting into an endless void. You imagine that's how death feels like. Okay, so this is something I wonder then. Based on that description, it almost makes it sound like the dawn hit and like we just flatlined effectively. I wonder if that is what happens in the Masquerade. Like, can vampires, do they just kind of go comatose when the sun's up, wherever they happen to be? Or can they stay awake during the day if they want to? The room is unchanged. The lamp is still on, the AC is still rattling, and the refrigerator is still humming. You take a look at your watch. It's almost 9 p.m. You slept for 17 hours straight. Maybe you died. Your breath is gone. You feel a thumping in your chest. Does that qualify as dead if you're still conscious? You're not sure about that, but you're certain about one thing. You are hungry. It's not your stomach rumbling, though. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen, spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You open the fridge, and the bag is still there. You take a closer look at it. If it is soup, then the color and texture are off. You pull the cork out and take a whiff, and you recognize the smell immediately. Holy crap. There's no mistaking it. It's bagged blood. The smell is faint, and you remember some situations in the past where you found it nauseating, but now it's almost... No, it's not almost. It's enticing. Try and resist, or do we just drink it, hork it down? I don't want to deny our nature, but I'm wondering what these symbols mean. It's like there's a moon, and then there's fangs. I think we should try and resist for now. I think it's a little too fresh. Something in your body wants to have a sip from the bag. Somehow it's tempting, but the very idea makes you feel sick to your stomach. You cork the bag, put it back in the fridge. Some time passes. You try to piece together different thoughts, make sense of it all, when you hear the lock click and see the door open. Suddenly there is the well-dressed stranger you met yesterday. Immaculate suit again, the predatory look, like the hawk on the hunt, but somehow more relaxed tonight. So, like a tamed hawk, maybe. Good evening. Sleep well? Your face is good enough of an answer, I suppose. There's not much you know, but of this you are 100% sure. You look like crap right now. Come on, we've got we've got places to be. The car is humming in the empty parking lot. Just outside the door is a cramped room you had spent the day in. The man motions to it politely, but with a stern look on his face. No, we're not hijacking the car, rushing the stranger. It's obvious that would just be a poor way to start this off. Okay, lead the way. After you. You take the back seat again. The door is locked. The stranger takes the wheel and starts the car. You drive in silence for a while. From time to time, you keep trying to catch glimpses of familiar streets and landmarks, like the blackened windows, but it's of little use. God, my throat's getting sore. The car is soundproofed, so all you can hear is a bit of traffic humming in the car's engine. The driver doesn't say anything and seems focused on the road. You check the door handle. Yeah, the door's locked, all right. A piece of dark glass separating you from and the front of the car looks sturdy too. There's nothing left to do but wait. You didn't have time to think about it before, but you realize now that you're hungry? No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling stomach that grabs your attention. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads through your chest, throat, and the back of the head. That sounds repetitive. You suddenly start noticing sounds and smells that make you uncomfortable and then sick. The driver's perfume, which you haven't noticed before, makes you gag. The car's engine hum gets on your nerves. Maybe some music to distract us? Hey, could you put on some music on? Something to drown out the noise? Noise? I could put something on, I suppose. The radio starts playing a classical tune that you've heard before. Erixate. It's soothing, helps you focus your attention, takes your thoughts off the hunger. It takes you another 20 or so minutes to get to your destination. As the door opens, you try to get out of your bearings. You're still in New York, that much is certain. Queens, like, maybe. Wait, you know exactly where you are. This nice-looking two-story building has a logo you immediately recognize. The Art Hole, the avant-garde gallery, used to hold that collection of bagged viscera and body parts by... You can't quite remember the guy's name. He's Brazilian, you think. Fabio? Something like or the other? After me. No sudden movements, please. You've never been inside. Not quite your style, but the place has quite the cult following. You keep racking your brain for more facts, hoping that they'll help you with whatever you got into. Two large men in suits flank the door to the gallery on both sides and give you companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by a stranger who guides you, you walk inside. The gallery is full of what is unusual at this hour, to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of them waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks. All of them are beneath the guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they have gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look to you and the stranger who brought you here. Their glances are varied. You see an open contempt on a few faces, an animated interest in others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you, as if wishing to appraise your worth. Memories come back to you like a bad case of PTSD. How many times before had someone judged you impassively or decisively through your art? You'd share a piece of yourself with the world and they'd respond by making you feel like garbage. It always took for a lot of effort to not lose your cool and tell them all off to shove their opinions up their collective asses. Now looking around, it feels like you've become another artwork as commodity to be judged by a bunch of obscenely wealthy, out-of-touch butts. Makes you want to scream. Good evening, Curie. And to you, child. The noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd of strangers, you being brought here against your will? For what purpose? The room awaits your response. Good evening, miss. Good evening, miss. You are addressing the Prince of New York City, Helen Panhard, Childe of Masala. I don't know how to say those words. Okay, so I do know this though. Prince. A prince is somebody who is like the representative of the masquerade. Effectively, the various organizers of the various clans of vampires. The prince is the one who's kind of the overseer and enforcer of the rules. Thank you, my sheriff, but I am capable of introducing myself. She is somewhat plain-looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still the entire room is instantly focused on her voice. She has influence over these people, that much is clear. You may address me as Prince, Childe. You realize your introduction into unlife was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictate I punish you both for this transgression. A murmur of agreement, maybe, could be heard from the gathered audience. But I am willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. I don't understand. Wait, I'm confused. What are you saying? I think it shall become all the more clear momentarily. You were pushed headfirst into a world you have not realized the existence of. But before you can partake in it, there needs to be a trial. You are about to be judged by the court of New York City, Courtier? I have no idea what that is. Please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened to you on your way here. Court? Prince? Is this some kind of secret society make-believe? Quartier. I have no idea. Quartier? I don't know! A trusted informant, who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time, tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remaining in their place. Interestingly, his sire made use of an older haven of one of the clans of the Rose for the embrace. They were even thoughtful enough to leave a local woman for the fledgling to slake his thirst on. Despite some reservations, he offered little resistance last night, cooperated on our way to the safe house. I was pleased to not have to force his compliance. We had a quick chat, but, wishing to appear here post-haste, I urged him to join me, which he did without a struggle. A pleasant departure from my usual routine, I must say. We had a pleasant drive here, all in all. I'm happy to say I was spared any surprises, but for a harmless request or two. Interesting. So, I wonder if we had fought and kicked and punched our whole way, if he'd have a completely different report to make. The story ends with us arriving at Elysium tonight. All eyes are on you again. You take a special interest in one of the faces. It's a beautiful woman with curly, almost blood-red hair, and a dress to match. You see her whispering something to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder? Thank you, Quadir. I take note of this fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later. She turns her attention to you. First, there is the matter of your sire. The person who brought you to where Codir picked you up from last night. Who were they? A beautiful man. He was beautiful, charismatic, charming, dark hair, sort of an artistic mess. He had an accent I couldn't recognize. He took notice of my art, bought a piece, in fact. I want to meet him again. The last sentence came out almost involuntarily. You immediately feel ashamed, sounding like a sad puppy whimpering after their master. Yes, you do want to meet that man again. It's an urge deeper than you ever felt. Maybe even love? No, that's idiotic. He never even introduced himself to you. He used you. He just plain used you. For what? Well, Quadir, does that sound familiar? No, it doesn't. Or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we're done here. He bought my painting. You can track him. That guy, he bought my painting at the art gallery. Didn't pay in cash, I think. Maybe you can track him that way. Oh, did your outlook on him change all of a sudden? He smirked, seemingly enjoying your misery. Personal jab aside, thank you for that observation. I will investigate this later. What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince? What is your recommendation, my sheriff? The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty. Stay your hand for just a moment longer, Caudari. I wish to consult my council on this. Make sure everyone is in agreement. Of course. He seems strangely relieved. The prince leaves the main showroom, and a handful of people follow her out. You're about to ask this Kodari if what the talk of traditions and councils was when the weird-haired woman approaches the two of you. Sophie. Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling. What for? She lowers her voice in response. Come now, Kodari. We all know the verdict's gonna be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stay in your hands tonight, after all. Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve. I'll go get my sword. He steps out of the room the way you came. That's not ominous at all. And you're left with the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside and eyes the remaining guests you follow. Well then, fledgling, you're in quite the pickle. What was that about a sword? I'd love to know more about their history, but I think the swords... I'm going to know about their history. Like, I would be concerned about the sword, but I think it'd be pretty evident what that's for. Sounded like you knew exactly what to say to him. I could swear you two have a history. Aren't you a perceptive one? If only I could direct your focus elsewhere. What I want to tell you demands your full attention. Last night, you became a vampire. Wait, what? Oh yes, I'm aware of how ridiculous that sounds. That's the reason why we have these nicer words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The facts remain. The beings called vampires? You look at them. They're like us. Yeah, they're us. You glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale. Really pale. Most hold glasses of wine. No, not wine. It's not the right thickness, and they're not the right color either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night, there's no denying it. And your breathing is not returned. Your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she says is making sense. Sorry. The other voice just keeps saying, "What the F? What the fetch?" on repeat. You're surprised? This is often how it plays out by design. Quadir deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. If we do nothing, you will be cut down, as sure as any day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I'll take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and your deference to Quadir will work in your favor. She may agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I'm not making this offer lightly. As your patron, it will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me, and if they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure that you face consequences. What if I refuse? What happens if I refuse? I believe I know what the prince will ordain, and I am certain Quadir will do his duty. You, my poor fledgling, will die, for good this time. With me, there's a chance you will not. I can be your guide in this new reality. Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Quadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking towards you. When you hear the verdict asked to be spared, I will intervene. Remember my condition. She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Quadir, who does not smile back. She's crafty. This is a really good way to get somebody, especially someone who could be potentially useful, but doesn't know or have the sense to actually negotiate. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented with a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard fashioned with a colorful sash around his waist. It would look vaguely ridiculous, though, or surprisingly intimidating, first and foremost. Quadir takes his place next to you and observes that the prince takes center stage again. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla, gather here tonight. I have made my decision regarding this fledgling. She briefly addresses you. I want you to know that this was not an easy decision to make. For your part, you have not done anything to earn our ire. I do feel genuine sorrow for what must be done. We are keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. There is no place for tolerating dissent when our very existence is under constant threat, although I acknowledge some of my council's divergent opinions on this. She takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before, a rather plainly dressed, shy-looking man, whose skin is a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference. I hold the final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be their sire's responsibility, in their absence it is their progeny that must be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Quadir? You hear the scraping sound and see the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. It's a beautifully detailed blade which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up. 2 outs. 2 out. No, I'm sorry. 2 outs. Bottom of the 9th. His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you. His eyes meet yours, and you notice a hint of sadness in his countenance. One that quickly vanishes to give way to grim determination. What a way to go. Baseball references. And he's out to bat. You will not get another chance to speak up. Does this even make sense? I feel like I really need to choose what she says. But if I remain silent, like, what if it just literally killed me if I remain silent? I'm curious, but not curious enough. You make your choice. I don't want to die. Spare me, please.
Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer?
Quadir looks at the prince, awaiting her response. The sword is still hanging above you, threatening to fall at a moment's notice.
Is there something you'd like to say, Miss Langley? Yes, if I may.
At first, the prince looks somewhat annoyed by the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The board elites suddenly look at you with aroused interest. Some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods.
Well, let's hear it.
Sophie takes a few steps forward. All eyes are on her now, but Quadir's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear you won't take advantage of the distraction.
My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letters of our laws. This fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance, they could become an asset to our domain. Am I to understand you are volunteering to take this sireless child under your protection? Yes, I happen to think they might hold potential that would be unfortunate to waste. I do expect their full cooperation, of course.
Whispers can be heard again, an incredulous voice or two. A hush just behind the effort. Some suppressed exclamations of surprise.
Silence. I ask you all to make note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in this child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Until thy progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Miss Langley? I am willing to guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our sect in a time of need, yes. But I would like to receive the right of destruction over them, if it please you.
Give me a chance to prove myself. I am worth keeping alive, Prince. Give me a chance to prove myself.
That remains to be seen. I do take notice of your tenacity. I see that it doesn't become a burden. I shall grant what you ask. Let it be known, Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become the fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Miss Langley, you will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees fit to use it. Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla, substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley? Of course, Prince. Thank you.
Very well. She turns to you.
What is your name, childe?
Is my artist moniker enough? I kind of like the idea of taking on, like, a nickname. I am a painter. I've used my moniker before. Would that suffice?
You may use any name that's appropriate to be utilized in an official manner.
My name is Protag, then.
She nods. Welcome to Carmilla, Protag.
Alright, dictionary. Carmilla. Camarilla, that's what it should be. I keep saying it wrong, I'm sorry. A major sect of vampires that are devoted primarily to maintaining the masquerade through influence and manipulation of mortal society.
Now, this evening proved to be even more eventful than I anticipated, but with the fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting here can conclude.
And then fledgling is a newly created vampire still under the Sire's protection. Just to...
Thank you all for appearing on such short notice. Give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Quadir, a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties.
Of course, Prince. No, it's just... Prince, a vampire who has claimed a given expanse of domain as their own, generally a city, and supports that claim... Excuse me. And supports that claim against all others. The term can be referred to a kindred of either sex, obviously. Interesting. So I thought it was something that was assigned, but it looks like it's something that you take upon yourself. With influence. He shoots you a side glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched, you will be judged, and if needed, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery. Well, Protag, I think we've both managed to significantly improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to our new fruitful partnership. She raises her hand at one of the well-dressed congregers, who have now reappeared in the showroom to refill the guests' glasses. The conventionally handsome man approaches with a careful carafe of red liquid. He pours out 2 tall glasses. You can barely wait until he hands you the drink. Your attention is fully on it. The fact is, it's blood. You're certain of it. Doesn't faze you this time. While Sophie sips her drink, you realize this thirst, no, this hunger, can only be sated by drinking the whole glass in almost a single gulp. The hunger. The urge to feed. For vampires, the hunger replaces all other drives with its own powerful call. As the liquid coats your throat, blissful relief takes hold. A posh woman passing by rolls her eyes at your lack of etiquette, but Sophie plays it no mind. Qadir has been starving you, hasn't he? Let's see if I can do something about that. She motions again. The man returns and gives you a refill. This time you find yourself having more control. You take a sip, savor it. It's smoky and warm, makes you think of a cozy cabin in the woods. Dang. It does strike you a strange image for your mind to jump to when drinking human blood, but it is what it is. You never tasted anything like it. Do you like it? I think New York City caterers have a very bourgeois ideas about what good blood should taste like. Apologies. You must have so many questions. While we're on the topic, perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance. How much do I have to drink? I feel this hunger constantly. How much do I have to drink to make it go away? The sad reality is, it will never go away. No matter how much you drink, you will always be tempted to have more. Unless you consume someone wholly, to the last drop, paying for a temporary relief from with their life. But that is a one-way road to losing your humanity. Best start by just taking some single sips from a vessel. Be prudent. Hot, fresh blood will be more sating than the most anything they serve in the fancy glass, but it can make you more voracious. So, vessel, a source of blood for sustenance or pleasure, primarily mortal. I wonder if they can do animal blood, though. As to how much you should have, it depends. If you're frugal, you can survive many nights without a single drink, but it's risky and will tempt a beast that is part of our curse. Got a lot of words. The incoat derives and urges to threaten turn a vampire into a mindless, ravening monster. Tomorrow I shall take you hunting, and we will explore this topic further. The blood you're having tonight should be enough to keep you happy for now. About our sire-child relationship. The prince mentioned something about you and me being like sire and child. What does that mean? So, sire, a vampire's begetter, the kindred who creates them, and chalda, the vampire created through the embrace. The chalda is the progeny of their sire. The term is often used derogatorily, indicating an experience. Plural, chalder.
Prince Panhard, spared you on the condition that I take responsibility for you. Normally a sire and child are close. One begets the other, after all. Our relationship may not be exactly that of sire and child, but it is treated as such by our laws. That we do not share blood does not matter. You must therefore defer to me in all things. I don't wish to use the right of destruction the prince granted me, so I appreciate it if you don't give me a reason to. I promised I'd guide you, and I mean it. Treat me as your mentor and superior, and I will treat you as my loyal retainer and understudy. With me you can go far. Without me you will be lost to the unfeeling night, and we can't have that. Those of us unaccounted for can easily become a danger to the masquerade. That's the main reason why, with your sire gone, the prince wanted you out of the picture too. The masquerade. The habit or tradition of hiding the existence of vampires from humanity, designed to protect vampires from destruction at the hands of mankind. The masquerade was adopted after the medieval Inquisition claimed many kindred unlives. Unlives, that's a funny word.
Alright. The congregee returns, asks for permission to intrude, which Sophie gives with a polite smile and leans in to whisper in her ear. You know that the gallery is now almost empty. I'm being told the gallery is just about to close, but we may still have quite a lot to discuss. We'll go to one of my apartments. My jalopy is waiting downstairs. Come. The smile she puts on makes you remember last night's encounter in the showroom. A similar eagerness to spend time with this person overtakes you momentarily, and you follow her outside. It just sucks that they can yank your chain like this. Your sixth sense tells you she's an artistic soul, too, and you unwittingly start projecting good qualities onto her. Sophie leads you to a luxurious silver Rolls Royce and invites you to sit in the back. The chauffeur is a broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy who starts driving immediately. I like how I can see her eyes in the mirror, even though she's sitting on this side. Oh, actually, you know what? I think we're going to stop here. Now we're driving there. We'll be able to continue with talking more about the Masquerade, but I feel like we're getting an exposit dump, and this has been a long enough video for now. I was kind of getting into the swing of things, but interesting. I have to admit, the quality of the art and the kinetic, pictures in general is fantastic. Like, I'm kind of blown away by this project already. I'm really curious to see how this all is going to play out. It's a little cringy sometimes. Like, it takes itself super seriously. I kind of hope it has some levity coming into it eventually. But again, it is supposed to be a very serious matter. And it's just one of those things where it's like I can kind of be a fan of like the artistry and the story and like the setting. But like, I know there are plenty of people who are like probably cringing so hard they left the video a long time ago. And I can kind of get it too. But, you know, I'm really curious to see what this is going to be about, and so far I'm intrigued. The story begins very similarly to the Masquerade, Bloodlines of Masquerade game that I played, but I'm guessing it's because it's a good hook of being mortal and then turned. You know, it's a good way to start the story, but I'm guessing it's hard to start the story in other ways, because it wouldn't have that emotional connection of you having to, like, say goodbye to humanity. But it is interesting, isn't it? I wonder what's going to happen and what kind of choice I'm going to have. Because like I said, I've just kind of been on a yank chain for a while. Like, the choices I've had are obviously super limited. But I'm interested to see where this is going to go out. And I wonder if this beginning sequence is ultimately very similar between the three beginnings. Like, obviously the setting would change and maybe our close personal friend or whatever would change. But if this, like, the meeting of the prince would be very similar. But whoever stepped up to take you in might be different. I'm curious. It's going to be a curious thing to see indeed. But thank you guys so much for being here today. I appreciate you joining me. This is going to be our new Friday series. If you're new to the channel, if you want to know what else I'm covering currently, I'm wrapping up The House of Fata Morgana, a fantastic series if you like horror and dark themes. And I'll next be doing Love Photon Flowers, if you're a fan of that series. It's a follow-up visual novel on one of the best visual novels I've played, period. Probably one of the best stories I've ever read, period. On Wednesdays, I'm doing Steins Gate Linear Bound Phenogram. It's also a visual novel that came out after the core works. Those are great to watch if you want to see those. And then this is our new one for Friday. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going on. I imagine that there's a lot more in the archive of visual novels that you can explore along my journey of sharing these stories. And I can't, of course, forget Saturdays. I've just started doing Persona 5 Royal. It's the first step outside of visual novels I've done in a long time, but it's one I'm planning to play through to the end. It's one of my favorite games, and I've never played Royal, and it's been long enough that a lot of it's still kind of new for me, so it's a great series to jump in on. So I hope you'll stick around. Hope there's enough to keep you around. Thank you for spending this time with me and sticking it out to the end. It really means a lot, and just want you to know that you're awesome. Especially in these times when things are so crazy, it's nice to be able to still pursue my hobby and still be able to find people to share it with. So thank you so much. If you are interested, there's a link to the Discord down below. There's going to be some chat rooms set up if you want to talk about this or you want to contact me. Check that out. Look at the art of the end card here. It was designed by a great artist. If you're interested to see more of his work, check him below. But more importantly, just keep being yourself, keep having fun, enjoy great stories, and let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments. But until the next video watching me, or to see me next, I'll see you there.